What's up, everybody? It's Michael here at Game Changerz, and this is Retro Game Scene. It's a little show we're doing where we're going to chat with all sorts of cool and interesting people in the local retro gaming community. And for the second half, we're going to make them actually play a game. So it's going to be really fun. Today we got Kyle Thomson with us. How's it going, Kyle?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. So for everybody out there, Kyle Thomson is a hardcore collector with all sorts of crazy, obscure stuff in his collection. And he's also a local independent game developer. He put out Cleopatra's Curse on the Turbo CD and the Sega Genesis. And he's working on Catastrophe, which from what I understand, you're working to put that out on the Switch and PS5. Is that right?
Yeah. Hopefully hitting all the major new platforms like Steam and all of those. Get a little more exposure than just the turbo graphics.
Yeah. I was really surprised when you put Jesse Yeager out on the Turbo CD of all consoles, because like you're only hitting like the most niche of the niche crowd with that. But I guess that's fair because that's your circle. You're kind of a Turbo CD kind of guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it started development just for fun, right? Like it's a hobby project, and then things just spiral out of control, especially with Catastrophe. So it would be silly not to have it on modern gen so more people get a chance to play it.
So I did actually have another question about Jesse Yeager, because you've got it on the Turbo CD, you put out a limited print run on the Sega Genesis, but you've been teasing a Game Boy port. Is that ever going to happen, or is that stalled? Where are we at with that?
You know, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm working on Catastrophe and I just get focused for like 3 months. And then I go back to the Game Boy version, put 3 months. And of course, I can't just leave it at Game Boy. So the GBDK puts it out, or allows you to put it out on multiple systems. For me, the Sega Game Gear, you know, it was just a few extra, years of my life.
I would love a Game Gear port of that.
It is, both of them are almost done. It's the...
in the bug fixes phase, or where are we at with them?
Pretty much just the final, and getting the final art too. There's a lot of placeholder art, and I am not an artist, so I have to hire that out.
You mean like the in-game assets and stuff?
Yeah.
Because you've already got like cover art and all of that for the most part.
It's the in-game parts, like the music, the sound effects, things like that.
Gotcha. All the little bits that go into making it actually function as a game.
And look good. Nobody wants my art in a game.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, so I know Jesse Yeager came out a while ago. It was a couple of years, right?
The Turbo CD, I think, was 2022 now.
So it's like 3 years ago. And then for people who don't have a Turbo CD, for the 99.8% of people out there, is the Genesis version still available? Do you still have it out on your website?
Still available on my website.
Okay.
Available for purchase. I do a horrible job of advertising, right? Because it's just my excitement is programming the game, not reaching out to people, not kind of doing that. I want to just be able to program. The thought is that maybe with Catastrophe, we should go with a publisher. So somebody takes the more social aspects of the job out and just lets me do what I'm good at.
Actually handles the promotion and marketing and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, now's kind of your opportunity, though. If you want to get the word out about your previous game, we'll get the word out about the new game as well. But for people who haven't played Cleopatra's Curse yet, give them a little bit of a rundown. Like, what kind of game is it? What's the coolness about it? What made you want to make it?
Okay. So Cleopatra's Curse is a Metroidvania, and it's a room-by-room or a flip screen kind of game.
What does flip screen mean?
So
like you hit a wall and it goes over?
Yeah, every time you go to a new room, the entire screen shifts to that room. And so it goes room by room as opposed to something with scrolling. And that's more of a classic design, sort of your more MSX days.
Okay, yeah, because games like Spelunky do the scrolling as you go up and down and whatnot, but this is more NES style almost.
Yeah, and even earlier, right? Like Pitfall was one of those flip screen games with a maze aspect to it.
Okay.
And so the other thing is I love Bionic Commando. So the whip is just trying to emulate as much of Bionic Commando as I could.
The parts that you can get away with emulating, not the Japanese version parts.
Yeah, definitely not doing
no
any references like that.
Does Jesse Yeager kill Hitler at the end?
No, but she kills Cleopatra, which, she was a dictator, right?
Yeah. Same difference, right?
Basically.
Yeah, for sure. So it's similar to a Metroidvania, to like a modern game. There aren't really a lot of Metroidvanias back on the Genesis and the Turbo CD. So how did you manage to overcome like the hardware limitations? Was it pretty difficult to do, or did you just like use a modern cartridge that fits a lot more on it?
Really, it's not that advanced, right? Like,
Hmm.
if you think about concepts of modern games, like Metroidvania itself is somewhat of a modern concept, but
Absolutely.
Metroid is pretty old. Um, but
Sure. And so is Castlevania, I suppose.
Symphony of the Night was the first Metroidvania, Castlevania, which dates back, but there weren't many of them, right? So Metroid dates back quite a bit, and so does Symphony of the Night. But really, Metroidvanias weren't as much of a thing back in the day. They were more of a later thing, right? We see a glut of Metroidvanias these days,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it's
It's a
more.
it's a super popular genre now. Like people absolutely love Metroidvanias, but aside from Metroid and Castlevania, they didn't really exist at all until at least PS1 era.
Definitely the uptick. I mean, there's Adventure Island 4, which is one of my favorite Metroidvanias, and that came out on the Famicom only.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there's sort of a history to Metroidvania there. But I think that modern retro dev really gives you the chance of like Battle Kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
The concepts behind Battle Kid um, didn't really exist back in that time. Infinite lives, make the game hard as possible, but as fair as possible.
Right. So each life is extremely difficult, but you have infinite lives. It's a good balance.
Yeah, you don't get punished for dying like you do for old retro games. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the cool part of retro dev is it brings all of these concepts that are kind of similar today, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
respawning in Halo all the time seemed novel then, but now it's in every shooter.
Okay.
Um, Moving those concepts back to retro games is kind of a cool thing that retro dev brings to
Okay.
these old systems.
Right on. And you keep using the term retro dev. I'm assuming you mean like modern development of retro games is what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Just like
development
the
for
concept.
retro systems
Gotcha. Oh
in
yeah, I
the
guess
mod.
it's not a retro game. It's just a game for a retro system. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right on. What kind of like software do you use for that? Or like what kind of programming knowledge do you have to have? Do you have to be, I mean, you're not writing a machine code, right?
Unfortunately, these days I do a lot of machine code on
Oof,
Catastrophe,
that sounds
but
harsh.
it's it is. I don't love machine code,
Fair.
but really the other thing that retro dev brings is all of these people who are really enthusiastic about making the games, but are enthusiastic about making the tools. And
Mhm.
so none of these games I've made, and none of the games you're seeing a lot these days would have existed without those people who are kind of behind the scenes, the people making the development kits, making the compilers, making the
Mhm.
things that take your C code and turn them into machine code. And there's
Right.
people who are very enthusiastic about that,
Mm.
but not for me, but I am so glad they exist.
As far as like programming the game itself, if you had to guess, right, the time sink that you threw into the game that you actually have finished so far, how much time have you thrown into Jesse Yeager and Cleopatra's Curse?
I started it during COVID and really
Hmm.
just had hours and hours to burn.
Hmm.
And it's impossible to even say, but it's one of those things where some of the best Saturdays I've had in the last 5 years are just starting at 8 a.m. programming and finishing at like 10 p.m. because it's just fun. At the end of the
Hmm.
day,
It's
there's
actually a
parts,
hobby.
yeah, there's parts that suck, but you can just get sucked into it and really
Hmm.
just, if that's what you love, the programming or the art or whatever
Hmm.
aspect you like about developing retro game, it does, you don't think about the hours like you do when you're working a 9 to 5 job that you don't like too much.
Yeah, I feel like people are kind of hardwired to really enjoy making something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whether that's like building an impressive collection of video games or building a new game from scratch or, like reworking an old broken car or something. You know what I mean? People, when you have a project that you can work on and see yourself get closer and closer to the goal, I feel like there's not really anything that really like makes your heart sing quite like accomplishing goals. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it's such a great feedback loop of you write something in code, you
Hmm.
hit the compile button and you see it immediately. It's not, planting a tree and then 10 years later it's a full-size tree. The
Right.
feedback loop is instantaneous.
You get that
And so,
dopamine hit right away.
exactly. And it's like, oh my God, I had that in my brain. I sat there hitting keys on a keyboard and boom, it exists.
Well, and I imagine like the more you struggle with a problem, right? Like the more a glitch refuses to resolve, the better it feels when you finally get it.
For me, I feel like it's more the flow when you just are, you're just coding things and it's like, oh, I want to do this. And it just works. Right. So the glitch hunting can actually be quite frustrating.
Is it really tedious?
When you're trying to find it, or it's like, I read this code, it should work this way. And obviously it's the programmer's fault, but they don't know why it's their fault.
Oh my gosh.
But the flow, when you're just sitting there and coding and everything is just hitting, and it's kind of like somebody who's great at Guitar Hero and just hitting those notes. And
you hit kind of like a Zen state?
Oh, very much so.
Nice, man. Nice. I'm not a programmer. I did take a programming class in college once, and I couldn't get it to add numbers without giving me the wrong number. And I would have sworn to God, 3 + 5 always equals 8. But it depends on how you set up the variable. Sometimes 3 + 5 is 12, I guess, depending on what kind of a float point or whatever. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. But I remember being extremely frustrated when basic math didn't math. And it was because of some like esoteric part of the development environment that I didn't understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the other fun thing is the more you learn about this whole hardware, the more you become, this sounds a little hoity-toity, but you become in tune with the hardware and you understand its limitations and what it can do, what it can't do. And that's when you really get to do the fun, cool stuff that pushes the hardware further than most people thought it could go.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned pushing the hardware, because I feel like some games really just squeeze every ounce out of an old system, and some games just clearly they didn't try. One of my favorite examples of that is a Gimmick on the Famicom. Well, for one thing, they got that custom sound chip that's just so nice. But like the way that it like there's no slowdown in Gimmick ever. No matter how many things are on screen, no matter what's going on, there's no slowdown ever. Just the visual quality of that game, all the attention to detail, like you can tell it came out when the Super Nintendo was already out and the Famicom was kind of hitting the end of life, because the developers clearly had a boatload of hands-on time with the system and knew what they were doing. How would you feel? Like, where do you think you kind of sit on that with, you know, the games that you've been making? How much machine knowledge have you accrued so far?
Oh man, it's hard to even know, because it's like I go back and I look at old sections of code and I just, you know, completely rewrite it. Like, this is garbage, throw it away, rewrite it.
Well, you're always going to be your own harshest judge.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, and on Gimmick, one of the things I love most about that game is there's so many little moments in that game. Like, you go the wrong direction on one of the boat levels, and there's just these birds flapping in the background, and it's very
you can hear
serene.
them too. They have little sound effects, little chirp, chirp, chirp sounds that are only in that section of the game.
Exactly. And there are just so many of these little touches that show a love for making the game and adding those in, because they didn't need to do that, right? They could have put that dead end 18 different ways, but that
They
dead
could have
end
just not had a section you could land on, because you go up like a staircase right there, or like a set of blocks.
Yeah.
They could have just left that out entirely. But I feel like I could do a whole video on Gimmick, and I might do a whole video on Gimmick. I love that game so much. But yeah, like the little attention to detail. Have you found enough time in your development to put stuff like that into Catastrophe?
We've been at it for 10 years. As of August 2025 will be the 10-year anniversary of starting it.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we have so many little things that only appear once in the game. The artist on the game, obviously I'm not doing any of the art, and this is more of a collaboration than me paying him. He is a big hockey fan. So there's one point where you're walking through a living room, and just in the background, there's a little hockey game playing on TV with just tiny little sprites moving up and down playing hockey. And there's all these little moments. There's mice that play bonks or play a bonk game
Oh,
on one
nice.
of the TVs before they fall off and fight you. And so there's just
Oh, that's
all
way
these
cool.
little moments in the game that we don't think people even see on their first playthrough. But maybe as they go back and they're like, oh, there's a TV playing hockey.
Fun
Oh,
little Easter eggs and
yeah.
whatnot throughout. I love that, man. I know I saw an early demo of Catastrophe when you were first working on it, probably like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and at the time, it was just like a series of individual little mini games. Is that the format that you're sticking with, or are you kind of compiling it into like more of a linear thing?
So it started as just a boss fight, right? I
Hmm.
had the idea in my head that I wanted to make an NES game, actually, not TurboGrafx,
Hmm.
of a cat avoiding shower drops. And that is the first level. That was the first thing that I ever wanted to do. Huge cat fanatic, wanted a cat. My cat hates showers. So that was the idea.
Makes sense, yeah.
And then it's like, well, my cat hates vacuum, so we have to have a vacuum level. And all of a sudden, that vacuum level looks a lot like the turbo tunnel in Battletoads. And all of these little things came together. And the artist was really pushing, like, look, this is fun and all, but if we're ever going to actually sell this game, I want it to be a real game, like have some more meat than just a kind of cutesy boss rush.
Right. You don't want to have just like mini game, then mini game, then mini game.
Yeah.
Unless those mini games have massive amounts of replayability, like it comes to mind like Super Monkey Ball. Those mini games, you get a group together and you can do the same one over and over, but the results are different every time. I feel like if you've got like either pass fail, basically, you don't want to have just mini game. So what have you done instead?
We have a full beat 'em up, and that somehow,
Oh,
like, 5 years ago went from the, oh, we should add this content to the majority of the game. So
oh
the
man.
game's been in development for 10 years, but really what it's been is both me and the artist upping our skill level over time to make it something much better. So really the game itself feels only 5 years old because the meat of the content didn't even come till 5 years into development.
Gotcha. You've been kind of like honing your skills and getting ready to actually make the game,
Yeah.
building the concepts, but not the game.
Well, and in 10 years, he had a year of getting married and he's got a kid now. So
Okay.
development comes and goes with ebbs and flows in both our lives.
Well, yeah, because you're not getting an hourly wage to work on this. It is a passion project.
Very much. And who knows if it'll ever sell or any of that.
But it is going to get made, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So do you have a rough timeline of what you're looking at, or is it just kind of we'll see?
We'll see. It's definitely a we'll see.
If you had to pick like a percentage complete, how far along are you?
That's the other problem is that neither of us have any self-control whatsoever.
You get project creep?
We were like, I would say we were 95, if you don't count sound, we were 95% done probably about a month and a half ago. And then I'm like, well, what if we add this? And I said to him, I hate to suggest this because I know you're going to say yes, but what if we add this into the game? And of course, the first thing out of his mouth is yes. And then the two of us just spiral. Neither of us has any sort of like, maybe we should scale this idea back. And it's great, but we just keep adding like beat 'em up tropes that you have to have.
Gotcha. So you're blowing up the concept a little bit each time you guys get together and
Yes.
adding to your plate.
And we really need somebody like, no, you guys need to stop. But there is nobody in the process who is like, stop, finish this while you have it.
You need to find a reasonable person. Maybe an investor. I don't know.
So like the game has 5 levels. And one of the things, it's a beat 'em up, so you scroll left to right. But one of the things we've recently done is split the final level into 3 different sections. So now it's triple the number of tiles that he needs to draw. And one of the middle sections, I don't want to spoil it, is way cooler. And so there's all the code that I had to write to do all the cool tricks and
to
fun
kind of
stuff.
like change the gameplay for that section.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha. And so you're making the game better and better over time, but it's taking longer and longer, and the goalposts are kind of getting further and further as you do that.
Yeah, and it's hard for either of us to be like, no, we don't want to be done with this project because we both love it so much.
I wanted to give everybody kind of like a stay tuned, it's coming soon. But I think for now, is there somewhere that they can kind of follow along with the development? Are you posting on any social media about it or putting updates out?
So one of our things of strategy is to not wear people down. And I'm not sure if this is the right strategy, but it's kind of the strategy we picked, in which there's big features that we haven't really spread out even into the like tiny TurboGrafx community, because we kind of want to just blitz the advertising when it's actually ready. And so I don't know if people would want to follow a development blog. I've been actually thinking, when I move to Jesse 2, once all of these projects are done, I have ideas in my head for Jesse 2. Do I do a development blog and let people follow me? Do I do literal Twitch streams of me writing code?
Oh, that's a whole full-time job by itself, though.
It would be interesting to see, do people like that more, or do they just want to see like the end product? Kind of an interesting.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you can look at what the other independent studios have done, right? And they put out like a trailer when they've got enough functional-ish gameplay to make like kind of a narrative about what the game's going to be like. They'll put out a trailer and then maybe a second teaser or something, and then it just launches whenever it's done. So you don't see a lot of places doing development blogs like follow along as we make it, aside from like Star Citizen. But Star Citizen is just kind of a different beast entirely. It's like the world's most funded, crowd-funded project ever. It's still making, I don't know how much, too much money, and it's nowhere near even being. It's suffering. Really? It's suffering from the same problem that you are, actually, because every time they get to a point where they're ready to announce the next level or the next phase, right? They're always like, hey guys, I know that the basic core gameplay is really glitchy and doesn't work super well, but we just thought of this really great idea for this thing that we can add in that's going to completely change the way that the system works. I know you guys have been waiting for the elevators to have the buttons actually pressable so that you can get out of your base habitat and actually play the game. But for now, we're going to be working on this new backend system that actually allows us to make items permanent forever in the game so that they don't go away when you log out, and so that we can have more than 5 people on a server without it crashing. So for the time being, why don't you just back up from the elevator about 5 steps, do 3 turns around, turn your computer off and back on, and then try pressing it again, and you should be able to get into your ship. Hopefully this time it won't blow up when you try to take off. That's the experience I've had with that game, so I'm a little bit burnt. I think a lot of people are a little bit burnt with that game, so that project creep can actually kill you if you're not careful.
Well, and also promising the sky, as in No Man's Sky, because they promised all these things, and then apparently it's gotten amazing, but their initial launch was so bad that most people don't realize how good it's gotten.
Well, that's the thing, man. You get one shot at launch for most people. If you screw the pooch on that launch, then most people will never give you a second chance. Everybody tells me that No Man's Sky is now an absolutely amazing, like existentially life-changing experience. Now it's like everything that they originally promised, but that launch soured it for so many people. I'm never going to try that game. Same thing with Cyberpunk, man. Everybody tells me Cyberpunk is amazing and you have to play it, but I played it when it first launched on PS4 of all things, and I'll tell you that it was a bad time. It was a really bad experience. And so at the time I told myself, well, I'll just wait for the official PS5 version to come out and I'll play it then. But the fire died while I was waiting. You know, I just, how am I going to find the gumption, the give a damn to try it now when, since the initial botched launch, like 400 other better games have come out, or at least better than the initial version of Cyberpunk, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I don't know. I worry about, you know, you don't want to overload your plate when you're developing a game and, you know, give yourself too many goals, too many features that you have to include to the point where you never put out the game. But at the same time, you don't want to put out a game that's not finished or that's not good enough. And so it's a balancing act, I'm sure.
Well, and a lot of these, you know, as I'm well aware, do the Kickstarter, right? And then they're beholden to people, and that can be a crap place to be. I'm having my own struggles, a topic for another day, but when you're not beholden to people, you can do that feature creep, right? Like, no one has paid a dime for Catastrophe. It is just our blood, sweat, and tears put into it, but we're having fun too at the same time.
So you really are just completely free to do it however you want, at whatever speed you want, and
Yeah.
whatever scope level.
We
Really.
both have day jobs that pay us well enough to pay the bills so we can keep dragging our development out as long as we want.
Fair enough, man. How do you find time to balance the two? Are you basically just either working or developing, or like do you have other things you do in your spare time?
Oh yeah. I mean, we can go months without development, right? That's the
Gotcha.
other thing, is that it's just if I have a busy weekend, then I'm not doing much development. Greg works at nights on
That's the artist?
Catastrophe when he wants.
That's the artist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just whenever he has time.
Yeah, and with a brand new baby, the
Yeah.
time is very low, but he also had 4 weeks off for parental leave, so
But any time you get, you're trying to catch up on sleep when you have a brand new baby. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh man. So okay. So aside from game development, and game collecting, do you have any other hobbies?
No, everything is game related.
Okay. So then tell me about collecting, because I have seen your collection a few different times, and you've got some pretty wild stuff in there. Do you want to give the viewers a little bit of a rundown of maybe what kind of stuff you collect and what that looks like?
I collect anything from the start of video games to 1999. I had to draw a threshold
You need
somewhere.
your cutoff.
Yeah, and I didn't want to cut it off by generations because I didn't want to cut out the Dreamcast. Dreamcast was released in 1999, and the rest of the systems in that generation weren't. So that's the cutoff.
There you go. Okay.
And so yeah,
Everything up to Dreamcast then.
everything up to Dreamcast and going backwards, regardless of the country it comes from. That's probably one of the favorite parts of my collection, is that I don't care if it came from Taiwan, China, Japan, America. I'm collecting for it. Brazil. I've tried to import from every country
So
I can.
do you have some Brazilian tech toy stuff then?
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to get now, though, for sure.
Yeah, they're getting fewer and further between for sure.
Well, and people in Brazil figured out really quickly that, wait a sec, I just go to my local swap meet, buy these games for $5, put them on Facebook for 300, and I will have people beating them down my door to buy them.
For those who don't know out there, Tech Toy is a Brazilian company that was given permission to make games for assorted different consoles, mostly Sega. I think they did
The
a
Master
little
System.
Master System and Genesis though, right? Or is it just Master System?
You know, I've only really dug into the Master System, so I can't tell you for sure
Fair enough.
whether or not
But
Sega had exclusive tech toy games.
I guess that makes sense. But the reason that Tech Toy exists is because Brazil has these extremely high import taxes on luxury items like video games. They consider video games definitely a luxury item. And so if you are Nintendo and you insist that all Nintendo games are made at your factory in Japan, they can't buy them in Brazil. It's like, like a $40-$50 game and a $200 tax per game. And so basically everybody who grew up playing video games in Brazil grew up playing Master System, and specifically Tech Toy games, because Tech Toy got the rights to make not only the systems, but the games for the systems. And because of that, there's a bunch of stuff that's only on Master System in Brazil. It's not on Master System in the UK or in America. Stuff like Mortal Kombat 3, I think, only got a Brazilian release on Master System.
And very relevant, Battletoads and Battlemaniacs, the only copy is a Tech Toy copy out of Brazil.
That game should not exist in 8-bit. I can't even imagine how horrible it looks.
And they didn't even finish it, but they released it anyway.
Well,
so
so
it's a
you
glitchy
can't beat
mess.
it?
You can beat it. It's
Okay.
just somewhat of a mess of
There's just no
broken
QA.
sprites and things like that.
No.
But of course I beat it because, I had to.
Speaking of Battletoads, we brought a copy of Battletoads, and by we, I mean you. Thank you for bringing your Battletoads to us today. And it is time to get you on the PVM here, playing your Battletoads. So if you want to go ahead and hit that power button there. So tell us a little bit about your history with Battletoads. I mean, did you grow up calling GameStop to ask if they have Battletoads?
I was pretty old by the time that meme hit.
How old were you when that hit? I was like a teenager.
When the Battletoads, I feel like I had to have been in my 20s
Really?
by that time. But I had Battletoads as a kid, and I couldn't pass the turbo tunnel like everybody else. And, it was a game I had to play, but I don't remember loving it as much as I do now.
There we go. There we go. Got that Battletoads sound. All right, so you love Battletoads now. When did that start? Like college?
You know, it was buying the Famicom version because I heard it was easier. And so I was really big into importing from Japan at that point. Plugged it in, and I was like, oh, this is actually playable. I can beat this.
Okay. So, yeah, because the American version is brutally hard, like unreasonably, unfairly hard.
Yes.
Which is what we're playing today. We're playing the American version on an NES hardware, on a PVM, and then it's just kind of routing through the computer for recording purposes. But I'm gonna take a little video of your setup here. Hang tight one sec.
Do I pretend like I'm playing?
And like I said, I'm gonna take a video of it. So here's what we got. Oh man, that screen flicker. There we go. Cute little PVM. Nice. Okay.
Time to warm up the hands.
I'll put that in post. All right, man. So, the brutally hard Battletoads, from what I understand, you have in the past been able to speedrun this, right? Just absolutely clear it?
Oh, I can beat it, but I cannot speedrun it.
Okay.
The world record holder is insane.
Beating it in under 5 hours, I think, counts as a speed run for Battletoads. Maybe not a world record speed run, but I mean, I couldn't beat this game in a week.
You gotta just get used to that Famicom version. Yeah, I don't know how to get this. There we go. So I gotta sit back to have the elbow.
Okay. Well, then in that case.
There we go. Gotta have good playing style ready to go for Battletoads, because this game is not easy.
Yeah, you gotta have your comfort just right. So, I know you mentioned the Japanese version's a lot easier, and I've heard that a million times, but it's a lot harder to acquire. How much is the Japanese version going for these days?
$90 just for the loose cart.
Are you sure about that?
Ordering from Japan. So if you import it directly, it's probably about $90. I imagine on eBay it's a little more.
I'm curious. I'm gonna check price charting for Japanese Battletoads here.
Is price charting any good for Japanese carts?
It's all right. Oh, what in the world?
What's it saying?
It doesn't have it for Famicom. What the shit? Okay, yeah, they're going for like 103. For some reason, I had in my head that it was like $300, but that's the complete in box price.
Complete in box probably is even more than that these days.
I just saw one
for $300.
330.
Kind of want that.
Do you not have one?
I do not have this complete in box. I have most of the Battletoads games complete, but I'm missing I don't have the Tech Toy one complete in box. I don't have
Japanese Famicom.
Japanese Famicom or Japanese Battletoads in Battlemaniacs on the Super Famicom.
Okay, so we're gonna have to make a Japan trip soon then.
Gonna have to get out there. I did just get the Amiga floppy disk version.
No, I'm sorry, what?
The Amiga floppy disk version.
Oh my god.
I had the Amiga CD32 version complete in box, but I had to get the big box Amiga floppy disk version.
How many consoles did they put this game out for?
I mean, if you're counting Battlemaniacs and the Battletoads and Double Dragon, it's, let's see, a CD32 floppy disk. A lot. Okay.
All right, go ahead and start actually playing. I want to see. I want to see what you've got, man. Are you gonna reset it?
I'm gonna give myself a little breather for the podcast. There's a 5 lives code if you hit down, B, A, and start.
Okay, so that's why you had to hit the reset.
Yeah.
Get them lives.
Because who knows how this is gonna go.
Right on, man. Oh yeah, because it's got warps. You can kind of skip through stuff.
Yeah, and we have to go straight to the turbo tunnel. Everybody's most loved level. The one that I straight ripped off for Catastrophe.
Right on, man. Are those the same rats that are in the later levels? The race or whatever with the bomb?
No.
A different guy?
The rat race and the bomb is much bigger.
You think they had to work out a deal with Taito to get those in there? Space Invaders?
Oh no, definitely a ripoff.
Definitely 100% unauthorized use. That's wild. Yeah, I've actually never beaten Battletoads. I've never gotten past. I think this is the furthest I've ever gotten this level, but I did beat the Game Boy version, not the one that's a remake of this, but it's like its own separate game.
Yeah.
And it has like the jetpack level where you're going up instead of to the side. All right, let's see what you've got, my dude. That music is killer.
Also, that's just a little fun glitch. If you hold A when you first get on it, you do that super jump. Doesn't
that's not
mean
a thing.
anything.
It's not supposed to happen?
No. You're not supposed to fly up into the screen. It's just for fun and for show off.
Okay, so you said you used the Japanese version to practice on this. What are the major differences in this level for Japanese versus American?
The jumps are way easier in the Japanese version. For example, one part makes you actually do jumps in this, and I'll probably talk about that when I get there.
Are you going to be able to talk while you're doing it? That's like the hardest part.
We'll see. What's funny, though, is this is considered one of the hardest levels in video games, but compared to the rest of Battletoads, this is kind of a cakewalk.
This is the hardest level that people could get to.
Very true.
It filtered people out. They didn't get to the real hard levels. It's the great filter. Oh.
First death.
I just noticed the background looks kind of like a brain. Oh, and
And we got parallax.
Everything kind of looks like a brain. Oh, that's gross.
You know what's funny is I was kind of nervous about that jump because that was the place I always screwed up as a kid. And just thinking about it, it's like, oh man, I'm going to totally screw that jump up.
And you shot yourself in the foot just
Yes. I don't know why the timing on that jump seems so hard to me. But now, like, I don't know. This is not the hardest part of this game, for sure.
Yeah, no, I've seen you play it before. I've never, like I said, I've never gotten past this level. I've gotten to the last section, but it's just so tight on that last little back and forth. Everyone, you'll see in a second here. It's crazy.
So you saw those ramps early in this section of the level.
Mm-hmm.
In the Japanese version, those ramps are actually on the jumps that I'm about to do. So we're going to get this
Like
ramp,
that ramp
here. And then there are just ramps here in the Japanese version. So I don't have to do this crazy jumping that is stupid hard. You have to actually manipulate the controller. Here we go.
Don't press anything. Oh yeah, this is the part I was talking about. It gets crazy. It's like pixels, right? Like 3 pixels off, and that's it. Oh, at least it started you right there. Ooh, focus mode. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Easy peasy. Okay, I died, so I can't say that.
Semi-easy, somewhat peasy. All right, so would you say Battletoads 1 is your first out of all the Battletoads games? Or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've beaten pretty much all of them just because, you know, if you love Battletoads, you kind of have to.
Fair.
But Battletoads is the only one I come back to routinely.
Okay. Not a big fan of, like, the Battletoads Double Dragon?
You know, it's fun, but I don't think I really have as much passion for it, where it's like, oh yeah, I want to go back and play that.
So did you grow up playing this one? Was it like your childhood?
Always got stuck at the turbo tunnel.
So let's talk a little bit more about like early gaming for you, man. Like, when did you start playing games? Were you like a really little kid?
So yeah, my parents had an Atari 2600 growing up.
Okay.
And they would not get me an NES for so long. I think it was like when Mario 3 came out. So, you know, all my friends had it, and I was basically denied access to all of the gaming. And then one Christmas, you know, Santa brings a NES and 13 games. What the heck?
Uh-oh. Does that respawn? Okay.
Or we could just let him kill it. But...
That's fair. 13 games, you say?
Yeah. So I went from, you know, just an average B student to almost failing out of the 4th grade.
Oh, he did kill it for you.
Yeah, and then I killed myself.
Hooray. Oh, man, that's wild. I actually had a similar story. We had an Atari 2600 when I was a kid, and I don't remember the names of the games that were on it, but I remember we had like 2 or 3. It was barely any. And then I remember one day we came home, and I had been good all day because I didn't want to lose Atari privileges. You know, I was being on good behavior out of the house. And then we get home, and I've just been thinking about nothing but Atari all day. I cannot wait to play these video games. And we get home and it doesn't turn on. It was totally dead. And so we had these kids in our neighborhood, a couple of Japanese kids who had a Nintendo. And oh man, we would try anything we could to get invited over just to play Mario 3. And eventually, after years and years of begging, we finally convinced our parents to get us a Nintendo. But it was like a Nintendo, Mario 1, Zelda, and Astyanax was like the entire family Christmas. That was like all of us together. That's what we got. And then like a year later for Christmas, we all got one game. My brother got Ninja Turtles. I got Power Glove without the glove, so Power Ball or whatever it's called. Oh man, I didn't realize that he needed a Power Glove. I thought I was just playing the shittiest game ever made. Did you know that if you press select on the controller, it shoots a fireball out of your pinky?
Really?
Yeah, on the Power Glove Ball? Glove Ball, that's the word. Glove Ball, yeah. Oh, I just went back and played a lot of Zelda instead. I got really good at Zelda 1 though. I knew how to get to everything. I could remember all of it. That last last dungeon it took a lot to learn that one, but I finally got it all down.
Wasn't it almost a blessing to not be able to play Glove Ball?
I wish I had a Power Glove, man. That thing, it's so bad. No, I would have loved that, but I think my parents just picked whatever was the cheapest at the time. And here's the story does have a sad ending. It's not a happy ending. So we got the Nintendo as a family gift. We got a game each the next year, and by the following year, me and my brother had fought over the system so much about whose turn it was to play and when do I get to play, all that, so much that they sold it. They sold it at a yard sale, the entire thing for $50 with all the games and everything. Didn't give us a cent of it either. Even though it was technically belonged to the whole family. They're just like, yeah, nope, you guys fight too much.
That's what you get for fighting over it.
I guess. But I don't think, I mean, like, I might be a little biased, so I don't think I was in the wrong. My brother would do this thing, I shit you not. Okay, you know the original Ninja Turtles that has like the dam level that everybody complains about,
yeah.
Right? We'd be sitting around, he'd be playing, and I would say, hey, when is it going to be my turn? And he would say, when I lose a turtle, when one of my turtles dies. I'm like, okay, sweet. We'll take turns. Once you lose a turtle, I'll take over and we'll try to get your turtle back. And then when I lose a turtle, it'll be your turn. He's like, okay, sounds good, right? He would lose a turtle. And then I would be like, okay, sweet, my turn. I waited like an hour because it's really hard to die in that game. And you can just you find a spot with a pizza next to like a transition and you can just go in and out and refill your life infinitely. But I was patient for an hour. He lost a turtle, my turn. He'd be like, nope, you can play when I lose all my turtles. He'd like move the goalpost on me. And so I'd be like, you've got to be kidding me. All right, fine. And then I would, like an idiot, I would sit there and be like, okay, I'm just waiting until you lose all your turtles. And 4 hours later, he'd be on the final stage of the game and finally lose all of his turtles and be like, continue or end. And he would say, oh, actually, no, not until I run out of continues. That game has infinite continues.
Does it?
Infinite continues.
Oh, man.
So,
I just remember that being hard as all get out. I can't believe you could even get to the final level.
Yeah, dude, I got to Shredder once, but I had like barely any health because the Technodrome that you have to go through to get to him is just loaded up with enemies, and it's like you basically just have to damage boost through it.
The only way I managed to ever get through that game was by watching facts and being like, okay, this is the strategy for this room. This is the strategy for this room.
For Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
No way. It's not that hard.
And yet you haven't beaten Battletoads. If you feel like Ninja Turtles is way harder than this game.
No way.
You just have to memorize this game.
That's the same with Ninja Turtles. Everyone complains about the dam, but I can't fail the dam level. It's super easy.
Yeah, the dam level is, kind of like the turbo tunnel, way overrated.
Yeah, like you learn it once and then you've got it.
But this game, like once you know where all the traps are, as I routinely fail here.
Yeah, I've watched you die like 4 times while we're talking about this.
I have no response.
Maybe I should let you focus a little bit.
I mean, that's part of the fun of this, right? Is force me to talk, force me to
have the conversation, have the struggle.
Yeah, struggle while I play.
Well, I mean, we did pick a particularly difficult game, so we might as well get the most meme factor out of it. You gonna
Wait,
get that
call
one up?
Battletoads or call GameStop and see if they have a copy of
Dude,
it.
should we call them? Are they open right now? Oh, it's 7:40. I think, don't they close around 7?
So that as a game store owner, wouldn't you be mad if they were harassing your employees?
Should I call Game Changers and see if they have Battletoads?
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
Oh, I'm gonna get them on the line. Hang tight.
Do you want to use my phone?
No, I got this one hooked up Bluetooth.
No, but I mean, then you can, then they don't know it's you.
Oh, you're right.
If they have caller ID, do they have caller ID there?
They do. Dang it. All right. You know what, though? If I call... I could call the repair shop and have Nick transfer it to the front. Like somebody's asking about a game. What do you think? Should I do that?
I mean, they don't know it's you. You kind of ruin the... Although, won't they recognize your voice immediately?
You're right.
But
Is
still
Numbskull
funny.
open? I think they close at 7 now, too. Yeah, Numbskull's closed. What about Retro Game Vault? They're not even open on Mondays. No, wait. Today's not Monday, it's Tuesday. They closed at 7.
Oof.
Retro Game Wolf will ask Camden if he has Battletoads. He closes at 10. He's open later than we are.
Really?
Yeah. Should we ask him,
Do you have Battletoads?
you guys have Battletoads? I'm gonna do it. Hold on, let's get the...
That's a good distraction from my horrible play. Although I did beat the elevator shaft, so we feel good about that.
Yeah. No, you beat that boss. First try, right?
Yeah.
I was distracted. All right, I'm gonna call Retro Game Wolf and see if they have Battletoads.
Does Camden know you well?
Medium well.
Will he recognize the voice right away?
Thank you for calling Retro Game Wolf. My name is Camden. How are you today?
Hey Camden, do you guys have Battletoads?
I think we should have the Battletoads. NES?
Yeah.
Let's see. We don't very recently.
Oh dang. Do you know if you have it on Famicom?
A lot of Battlefield. Battletoads. Might not have no toads here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there, man.
Just look like it.
I'm sorry, was that a no?
Yeah.
Oh dang. All right, man. Well, thanks for checking for me.
Yeah, no worries.
Have a good one.
We've got a lot of stuff we're pushing out in the next week, so who knows?
Okay, if you get a Famicom Battletoads, that'd be awesome. All right, man. You have a good one.
You do.
I feel like the connection was really spotty there. Am I crazy? Like you could barely
also
make him out.
I feel like he didn't know the meme.
No, I couldn't tell if he was laughing or not. I don't know. That was a bust. Next time though. Next time. I wonder if he's gonna watch this and see himself on the show.
And then I'll be looking up the meme.
What is this Battletoads meme? Okay, so let's see here. We're in the sewers. They got this thing chasing you, and you just gotta race it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so you grew up on Atari and NES, right?
Oh, man.
Oh goodness.
That was awful. I do not screw this section up. That is the worst part about this.
Well, I mean, it's a high pressure environment. I get it. So you grew up on the old school stuff. Do you have, like, aside from Battletoads, was there like a favorite in your childhood?
I mean,
was there like a go-to?
The classic Mario 3 and Mega Man 3, because I could actually beat it. For some reason, in adulthood, I got much better at video games. I hear most people that's the opposite. Like, they were way good at video games as a kid, and then, got crappier as an adult.
That's my experience. Yeah, no, I can't do the infinite life hack on Mario 1 anymore.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm the reverse of most people, but I sucked at video games as a kid. I could barely beat any of them. And now most of them are like easy as I die again.
As you die again, yeah. Funny story about Mario 3, though. Are you familiar with the difference between the Japanese and American versions?
I remember that you die, or when you get hit, you go from, to small Mario, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what kind of power-up you have, no matter... Oh, man.
Yeah.
Squashed. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're like Raccoon, Tanuki, Fire, whatever. You get hit once. In American, you go down to full-size Mario, and then you get hit again and you're small. And you get hit a third time and you die, right? But in the Japanese version, you lose your power-up and you go small at the same time. And so it's no matter what you're at, it's 2 hits and you're dead. And that sounds like a very minor difference. It sounds like it shouldn't be a big deal. But if you actually try playing it in practice, it sucks, man. It is like brutally. Oh my gosh.
Man,
You almost had it.
Not doing well at this section, which is funny because this is one of the easiest sections in this entire level.
You get 3 continues, right?
Yeah. So we'll see how far I get today.
Do you still get the 5 lives when you use a continue?
You can do the code. Yeah. You still have to do the
again.
code every single time. So if you screw up the code, you're starting with 3 lives. And yeah, this is one of the easiest sections. I don't know why I'm having such struggles. Maybe because I got the Japanese version and there are no spikes here. The ones I keep hitting, there are no spikes on that part in the Japanese version.
Gotcha.
And so I'm getting the two mixed in my head because I played the Japanese version most recently.
Oh, and it backed you up there because the continue started you back at the very beginning. That makes sense.
The other interesting thing about the Japanese version is the transitions between levels are slightly different. They're slightly longer on the Japanese version. So when speedrunners will choose which version, the shorter text in the King speeches is actually outweighed by how they did the level transitions.
Okay. Interesting. So do they consider the Japanese and American versions different for speedrunning, or they just...
No, generally they just pick the fastest. I imagine something like Battletoads, they just prefer the English version because it's the harder of the two.
But they share a category and they just go through whichever one they choose?
I think it depends on the game, right? Like Battletoads would be so different that they would have to have them as different categories. Whereas with the Japanese Super Mario versus the English, there's not enough changes between levels that shorten it. So they have them as a combined category.
Well, I know
we get to choose.
Like Ocarina of Time, people who do... Oh, man. People who do speedrunning on Ocarina of Time generally choose to do the Japanese version. And so I don't think they have the same... I think they share a category, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to speedrun Ocarina, you play the Japanese version because the text can be skipped, whereas the American version, it can't.
I mean, with Ocarina, it really depends on which version allows certain glitches, right? Because you have all those different categories, some that allow if you've seen the latest one, Link never even leaves the Kokiri Forest before he warps into the end of the game.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I have not seen that. Did you see the TASBot run they did for Ocarina of Time where they showed off all of the unicorn fountain and a bunch of, stuff that was left on the cartridge but that wasn't included in the game?
I did. You want to know an interesting factoid is the first TASBot to ever be featured at GDQ was yours truly.
TASBot?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Which one was it?
SGDQ 2013. It was up in Bountiful. And it was just held at a person's house, Essentia's house. Mm-hmm. She's long since out of the community, but it was at her house. And so the first TASBot ever was me.
Wait, I thought TASBot was like a Rob the Robot that they hook up to all the controller ports. Is that not the same thing?
That's just for show. The actual TASBot, mine was in like a random ass cardboard box.
But you did build a device.
Yeah, that play back inputs, and that was on SGDQ 2013.
Dude, I had no idea. That's awesome. That's way cool, man.
Mine wasn't as impressive as what they, obviously.
Because they were executing arbitrary code. They had TaskBot program like a voice-acted section of Breath of the Wild link into Ocarina of Time and play on a 64. That's bananas.
So when I when I did TaskBot, it was literally just playing back somebody else's Mario 2. So mine was far from as interesting as what they've done now. But
so it was like a speed run that somebody else did, and you just kind of
played it back. Yeah.
Redid the inputs so the same.
Well, no, I just played it back, right? So all TaskBot does is emulate what this does.
Yeah, it just puts in the inputs.
Yeah. So
so you had all of the inputs recorded, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I just played back a file of those inputs using an Arduino. And that's all it was a cardboard box around an Arduino. Oh, man.
Oh, I was worried you were going to hit that.
Yeah.
You have to like build up momentum first?
I feel like this game is also a very flow thing. So once you lose that flow, everything just starts falling apart.
Well, you're in the middle of a show right now, so you got to get the show flow. You got this. Yeah, you got this. There you go.
Also on my last life, so we'll see how this goes.
Well, just don't get hit anymore and you'll be fine. What even? Is that a piranha?
It's a very mean piranha that can bash you into spikes.
Oh, he like smacks you.
Yeah, really hard.
Okay. And then you said this one is pretty different between Japan and America as well, right? It's just like the number of spikes and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, each part of the game they went through and just said, okay, this is too difficult. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove this.
Okay. I'll have to pull up some footage of the Japanese version, kind of do a little side-by-side, because I'm having a hard time visualizing. I mean, I guess you would just take out...
Those spikes just don't exist. Those spikes don't exist.
On the bottom there?
Yeah.
Those are the worst part of that.
And like here, you can just sit at the bottom there and wait for it because there's no spikes. But yeah, they added so many spikes, so many fun little...
Oh, it's going to get you. You don't even fall fast. How are you supposed to get it? Oh. Yeah, dude.
Not to make you nervous, but...
And I am sweating bullets right now, man. This is crazy. Like I said, people... Oh, my gosh. Oh, so if you punch, you just don't sink anymore.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was going to say, people give that Ninja Turtles dam level a hard time, but this is not even in the same ballpark.
Can't forget the... and so many things in here just insta-kill you like the duck. Yep.
Oh, just straight up murdered by a rubber ducky.
Yep.
And then how far back are we?
We got a free life, so that was kind of just for fun.
Does the free life give you a checkpoint too?
No.
That's just getting there.
There's just individual points in the level.
Gotcha.
And the duck, we can just jump over that one.
Okay, so he just attacks when you get within a certain distance of his face or whatever?
And he turns around when you punch him, so you can...
There we go. Do they stay dead? Because he's floating. Oh, he gets back up. I knew it. I knew he was going to get back up. I predicted it. So at this point, you can die as much as you want because you got that one up right at the beginning.
Yeah, hopefully not, because that doesn't make for a very interesting time.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Well, we're getting close to our hour mark here, but I'm curious how far you can take it. I do have a couple more talk points that I'd love to go over. I know you've, your collection is one thing that we really didn't cover too much, and you've got some, you've got some stuff in there that basically nobody else has, right?
There's a couple things that I am pretty sure I have the only one in the world.
Okay, like what?
Actually, the only thing I'm almost certain no one else has is a Super ACAN dev kit.
The Super ACAN dev kit?
Yeah. Went up for sale 2 years ago and just bid. The guy who did it, or who got it, Brandon Cobb, huge Super ACAN fan back in 2008, actually reached out to devs of the Super ACAN and had, great dialogues with them. And so that's why he had all this stuff, but finally got tired of it and put it all up for sale.
Just wanted to turn it into something he'll actually use.
Some cash,
Some cash money. Oh, no, you didn't get the one up. Shame. All right, so a Super ACAN dev kit. So for people who don't know, Super ACAN is a very limited release console about Super Nintendo era, right? Or at least Super Nintendo Power.
So actually, it was technically a 16-bit console released 1 week before the Saturn was released. So in the very, very end of the 16-bit generation.
Right. And it was it Taiwan?
Yes.
Taiwan only, or Chinese Taipei, depending on who you ask.
And UMC, huge chip maker, still very much in existence today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they decided to try and get into video game development. And it's kind of cool that they had a system just for Taiwan, and some really cool goals of like, hey, let's have a system for our country, one that we can be proud of.
Are a lot of the games in English, or are they in like Mandarin? Like how do they do that?
A lot of them are, traditional Chinese, but the majority of them you don't really need to know Chinese to play.
Wasn't there a Super ACAN game that you picked up like a year or two ago that was like spendy?
Yes, it's the only copy that's ever been on eBay. Probably the first one that's been on sale for about a decade now.
Okay.
And yeah, also from this guy's collection.
Same guy.
Yeah, he had the complete set.
What was that one called?
Rebel.
What kind of game is that?
A really interesting. This is gonna be interesting. Rat races.
Because you actually have to. Once he gets past you, that's it, right?
No, we can, especially for this section, we can catch up.
But you do have to punch him, right?
In future ones, I
later?
absolutely have to, especially in the U.S. version.
Yeah, because the Japanese version, I was telling one of my friends the other day, you can literally just outrun him every stage, right?
Yeah, you don't have to do any of the fancy tricks that I'll have to do for this one. Oh my god.
Oh, get gassed.
That does not happen. I guess it happened, so.
It did happen. We watched it. I was here for it.
That's what's supposed to happen.
So you got a Super ACAN dev kit. You've got, what's a Panasonic Viz?
What is it? Tandy Memorex?
Memorex Viz, yeah.
That sends them back. Oh.
Okay, and I know you've got a Fairchild Channel F, right?
Just the system. I don't have a complete set for that.
Okay, yeah, sure, just not a complete set of Fairchild Channel F.
Oh, it's definitely on the list of things I'd love to get.
Oh my gosh. For those of you who don't know, Fairchild Semiconductors here in Utah put out a video game console that was technically the first one to use interchangeable cartridges. The games were absolute garbage, really terrible, bad quality, visuals were awful. Gameplay was just terrible, but it was the very first interchangeable cartridge console. The Fairchild Channel F, and the cartridges look so much like 8-track tapes that the last time somebody brought us one and traded it in our store, they actually had like 5 or 6  8-track tapes mixed in with the box of games because they just didn't know the difference. I'm blown away just by like some of the weird, crazy stuff. Oh man, it's getting intense.
Yeah, I'm glad you're covering this because this is. If I get this far,
you focus. I'll talk.
I will be happy.
Yeah, but some of the crazy stuff that you have in your he went down, and then he's gonna get the bomb.
I needed to be like 2 steps further.
So you have to knock him into the wall so that he turns around.
Yes, that is the only way to do this.
Is he a terrorist? Is he suicide bombing there?
Yes, he sets off the bomb and that ends the level.
That's wild. Well, so you've got the Fairchild, you got the Viz. I know you've got a PCFX.
Yes, that came from you.
I need you to full set that PCFX. I need you to carry the torch because I was planning on full setting it, and then I saw the prices of like the top 4 games just continue to balloon up into the stratosphere, and I can no longer do it. There's just no way that I can justify like $1,000 for Zoroiger. I just can't do it, man.
Well, and the funny thing is,
I'm not gonna
I got that some of those from our friend Josh Hamblin before I ever had a system. So I got Chip Chan Kick and Zoroigar.
You do have those two.
I have those two, and those were the only games I had. Yeah.
Well, you've got no excuse for not full setting it. You've got the most expensive ones.
No, I'm missing Zenki, and that one is insanely expensive.
That one, dude. Did you know there was a Zenki anime? The game was based off the anime.
I didn't know about the anime, but I know that there's some Super Famicom games that are actually kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild anime. It's got some awesome music, but definitely worth checking out. I'll see if I can squeeze in a couple of seconds without getting copyright strike of that opening song, because it's pretty awesome. So what are some of the other crazy stuff? Like, I mean, do you have everything more or less that you plan on having, or is there stuff that you've been searching for and just kind of waiting for the right deal?
You know, one of the problems is that I waited too long on Genesis, and so I'm 260 some games away from a complete set, and I just can't bring myself to pay 2025 prices because I didn't focus on it in 2015. I worked on NES and other weird stuff.
Gotcha. It's a lot harder to get a good deal nowadays than it used to be. It used to be you could go yard sailing and just, happen upon a little box of solid gold for $10. They're like, oh, I don't know what this is worth. Can you do $5? No, I'll give you 10. And then they're like super thrilled about it. And they've got a little Samson in there.
Yeah, it's that, and just the fact that people don't want to cut deals like they used to. You know, sports games, you go to a normal store and you see some NBA Live on Genesis for, however much money, $10. And it's like, I could sit there and I could negotiate and maybe get it even half off, but I'm still spending $5 on a game that would have been $1.
Yeah. Somebody might have just thrown it in as part of a bundle deal normally,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I try to be super chill at my store when it comes to like the bulk stuff that I have too much of, and like you buy some other game, they'll give you the NBA for free,
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not really the norm in a lot of places. There are a couple of game stores in the area that do that, though. I feel like if you try to grab... Uh-oh.
Good.
That's it.
Already dead.
I might as well just put the controller down at this point.
There's always the slight chance of recovery, so...
Fair enough. Oh. Can you get him?
That was probably not...
Yeah, you got him.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. It's not over till the fat lady sets off the bomb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is
oh my
really
gosh. Oh,
there.
You missed
Might
him.
do it. There's still a slight chance.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Oh.
You got this. Smack him. Smack him. One more smack. Oh no, is that it? Is that all she wrote?
I think so.
You gotta do that like 8 times in a row there.
Oh,
Jeez.
yeah. This is such a brutal game.
Oh,
and I was
so close.
There.
So like I was saying, I feel like if you went to Numbskull or Retro Game Vault and asked them for a deal on some of their, like, I'm never going to sell this games, they would definitely do that. I think they would hook you up.
But I feel like a deal still is not what you want to pay on a sports game, right? Like, a deal might be 50% off. That's a really nice price, but it's still $5-6 on a game that you're just never going to play. A deal that makes it worth
maybe
full setting is like $1 a piece.
I think Casey up in Numbskull is doing similar to what we're doing on those sports games, though. And instead of just matching price charting with them, I think he's putting a lot of them at below price charting just to make them move, because they don't otherwise. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too. Is like, you also feel like a jackass saying, walking into a game store. Can you hook
me up with a better deal?
Like, this game is never going to sell, but you want it, right? That is the thing I hate most. Like, obviously somebody wants it because I'm sitting there trying to buy it.
Because you want it. Yeah, exactly.
I don't want it for that price, but,
sure.
I do want it. So.
That makes sense. But, I mean, if you were going to walk away if the price didn't come down, right? And it's not exactly flying off the shelf, I'm inclined to say, dude, you can just have it, but buy something that I actually would be happy to sell you. You know what I mean?
And I mean, that's the nice thing about, knowing game store owners is you can ask for ridiculous deals and they'll be like, yeah, this game's never going to sell. I'd be stupid not to just get rid of it, get it off the shelf.
I don't understand places that are like super firm on every price point for every item in their store. And I get that you paid a certain amount for it. You've got to make your money back, right? Otherwise, you're not a business. You don't get to continue existing. But I mean, there's got to be some level of give and take, some level of flex, right? People love being told, hey, man, I know you're looking at these 2 games and it's hard for you to pick which one of those 2 you're going to take home. But I'll tell you what, if you buy this one, I'll make it easy for you. I'll give you the other one half off, right? Mm-hmm. And I know what I paid for them. I know I'm not losing money on that. And it makes their day, and they come back and they're excited to come back. And they I remember their name, they remember my name, you know what I mean? And makes it it makes it a whole experience, as opposed to, you go into a place that doesn't do that. And it's just like, the employees don't want you to be there, and you can tell by just the look on their face. I don't know.
I've shopped all across the nation by going to conventions and such. Mm-hmm. The only place I have ever encountered people repricing games higher at the register is in Utah. It is the strangest thing that we have 3 stores in this state that will reprice at the register.
I know of one. There's more than one?
Yeah, there's 3.
Oh my gosh.
One of them's shut down now, but
that sounds illegal. Right?
I'm pretty sure it's against it's like unfair business practices, or
you got a price tag. You got to honor your price tag, right?
Yeah. 3 different ones in this state. And it's funny because I've done this for years and I'm about to die, so we're gonna get gassed here.
It's okay. You still got continues.
Nope, that was it, I'm pretty sure.
We're gonna call it?
Yeah, that was the last continue.
All right. Well, I am really impressed. I know you were planning on going all the way through and beating the game, but I am still just absolutely blown away by just how well you navigated all that crazy nonsense. There's no way I would have gotten anywhere near there. So well done, my dude. Well done. Patch. Thanks for coming out. And I would love to sit here and chat with you all night long, but I know you got places to be. My family is probably wondering where I'm at. They probably think I'm dead. I did turn my phone off for this, so. Well, let's call it a day, man. But for those of you out there that stuck around to the end, thanks a bunch. I really appreciate you guys watching. Just a reminder, this was brought to you by Game Changerz. That's Game Changerz with a Z at the end.com. That's my store. I own it. It's pretty cool, I guess. Check it out. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.